Howdy, what's going on, everyone? Just wanted to take a second and get down some of my initial thoughts after just completing Metaphor, ReFantazio. And I really wanted to go see what other people thought, but wanted to take a chance to localize, internalize my thoughts before going out there to see what other fans were saying, just so I'm not influenced or biased in any other ways. So, yeah, I'm just going to be buzzing around trying to get this achievement for distance traveled on the sword here. So pay no mind. And yeah, before I get into it, obviously there's going to be some minimal spoilers. I'm going to do my best not to give away anything huge. I seem to have a knack for that, but I will do my darndest to put a warning if I really mess up and reveal something big that you should know, especially if you haven't even started the game. So yeah, I'll be cognizant of that. But yeah, here we go. Just to start out, it's a great game. It's a phenomenal game, especially if it's your first game in the Shin Megami Tensei or Persona Arena. What a starting point you have here with its new theme. We're finally out of high school. No more high school antics. We're in the real world now. Obviously, still fantasy world, but love to see some adult characters with more adult problems that we're facing and not just what you deal with in high school. Good to see. Good to see Atlas going in a new direction. I was happy to see it. I'm sure other people are going to be pleased as well. Maybe setting the stage for the next Persona game. There's been rumors that going to take place in college. I know that the Persona 6 fan club or whatever they're called, they put it in a police academy. So, yeah, maybe setting the stage there. Who knows what'll happen. But yeah, just really want to touch on the visuals here. I mean, look at the game. The game, its art direction, visuals is great. And this is the slums of the game, but it still looks this awesome and is visually striking and pleasing to look at. So it's great. It's great, and they're really picking up where they left off from Persona 5 in terms of gameplay. You have so many options in the overworld, and just the insta kill mechanic was improved upon from P5R. Actually fighting enemies and dodging around, some Souls like moments there. It's fun. It's fun to play. I really enjoyed the overworld. Um, yeah, not much more to say there. I think they did a good job. I hope that this is a standard going forward. We have some more agency in the overworld with how our fights are going to go rather than, just sneaking up and taking a bit of their health bar off and going first. It gets kind of old, so love to see that. I think the gameplay is a pretty good balance between the visual novel and story aspects, balancing between the combat and those things. It's the core gameplay loop from any Persona game, right? So veterans of the series are going to know what to expect there, and this game does a good job of balancing them. So nothing too crazy different there from any of the Persona games. But big gripe with the gameplay. Probably one of my biggest gripes of the whole game entirely. We're gonna throw it out there. The reusing of dungeon layouts and assets. It is not an upgrade at all. If you go back from Persona 3 and Persona 4 Golden, it's not an upgrade at all. It is literally the same thing but in a 3D world. I am going to the same 4 dungeons and fighting the same 10 enemies with different paint splashed on them. It's it's a big disappointment, a huge letdown, to be honest, from all the style and creativity that this game just exudes to then go and kill the same bird with its stupid glasses on its face 5 times, 6 times, however many birds there are. It's just disappointing. Um, Expected to see something better there. So, yeah, huge letdown, especially the later palaces from Persona 5, like the casino and the one Haru's dad in the space world you're traversing through that. It's so fun, and the bar was set so high, and I had high hopes for the labyrinths we're going to be exploring. That's what their palaces are called in this game. They're called labyrinths. So yeah, and they totally missed the mark compared to the Persona 5 palaces. Totally missed the mark. Some dungeons are straight up annoying, not fun to traverse through, and you just feel like you're just trying to play it to get through it rather than play it to enjoy it. And a lot of those just boils down to design choices with the dungeon itself. Um, Definitely avoidable, in my opinion. They missed the mark here. Yeah, and I don't want to beat the dead horse, but moving on, the fights themselves. Once you get into the fights, they are very balanced. I will say I played on normal difficulty the whole time. Really not interested in whittling down at humongous health bars on hard mode or regicide mode. Kudos to you if you have the patience to sit through it. I am just beyond that phase with Atlas games, so perfectly content to play through it on normal, and I really enjoyed it. All the fights seem really balanced. You have, excuse me, a lot of different styles and tactics you can make use of with your party. There's doesn't feel like there's a meta strategy to go for most of fights, if not all. So love to see that the balancing was done well and the fight system was set up correctly. In terms of new mechanics, not much. There's synthesis skills that you can use in the game. They take up a lot of SP, so I really only found myself using them in boss fights or fights that I knew I was gonna get some SP back in. The game does a good job of giving you a lot of SP back in your dungeons and in combat too. There's plenty of options there. But yeah, synthesis skills, they're cool. They're neat. Just a little too expensive in my opinion, and you don't get anything to cheapen the cost till much later in people's archetypes. So there is one fight towards the end of the game. No spoilers, but yeah, if you've been there, you probably know which one I'm talking about. It wasn't great, and that was one of the only times I really had to go look up online, see how people were dealing with it, and wasn't pleased to see it's just kind of a cheese strategy, to be honest. It involves just one-shotting the enemy. It's not great. Kind of restricted to you being a certain level and all of your having all of the archetypes for each certain character being the same or at the level they need to be at to beat it. And I was a good 5-6 levels behind, surprisingly, even though I'd done every single quest and killed every single monster in every single dungeon to that point, and I was still under leveled. So I had to drop it down for easy mode to take out that boss, or I was just going to lose the day. Yeah, you never want to waste days in these kind of games. So it was unfortunate, but maybe skill issue. What can you do? About the archetypes. The archetype system is interesting. A huge change of direction from the Persona games, especially with your teammates. The members of your team having now the option to kind of take any profession or job, as some other games call them, or class, if you want to call them. Not just their basic one and their upgraded one. Like in Persona, you max a social rank. Social link, you're going to get a new persona that's a lot stronger, a lot better. Maybe get some upgraded skills. Really fun to use. Like, wow, that's sweet. And in Metaphor, the onus is all on really you, the player, to decide which archetype they're going to use, what they're going to be proficient at. Obviously, they have their stats. You want to kind of use that as a guideline. But all of that gets thrown on its head when you unlock their heroic embodiment. Minor spoiler here, but it should be in the follower menu. If you go take a look at the follower menu, it should say rank 8 unlocks a new heroic embodiment. So that is their final archetype, and it can only be unlocked after certain other archetypes have been maxed or close to maxed. So it kind of makes the agency they gave you redundant, because you can't use Stroll as a cleric. Not many how are you going to use him as a cleric when his final archetype doesn't require any of that archetype tree to be leveled up? And so if you just want a skill or two from that class, it's okay to level it up a little bit, steal a skill, throw it in your common class, but overall it just seems redundant. Why punish me for using the system as I thought it was going to be designed, and then only having to realize, oh, I really should have been leveling up this archetype because I need it. I need it, or else I cannot get his final archetype. So that part, a little confusing to me. Not the best in terms of design, I'd say. Suggestion I thought of was, why don't we use something like the Nen system from Hunter x Hunter? You put all the physical ones together, and they gain bonus XP, or you have increased, or the XP splits between two or three, a couple at a time. Instead of, we're gonna isolate every single archetype into its own tree, and the only way to transfer XP is you max that one and you stuck there in the menu using the hero's lethal light, 30 times on some random archetype you didn't think you were gonna need until you unlock the royal one. So that's a part, the Googlers win again. If you had Googled all that, you wouldn't run into that issue. But me, I had maybe, one or two off meta choices that I thought was going to be good, or is good for this character to have X skill, Y character to have Z skill. But yeah, I just barely was able to max all the party members' final archetypes because of that, and it was close. It was the very before the very last fight, I finally maxed Basilia's real archetype. So yeah, yeah, about the Nen circle, and then I don't know. There should have been a better option there. I think if we're gonna give us the agency, let's give us the agency, and not punish the player for wanting to take advantage of that. But yeah, gonna not try to rant about the archetypes too much. Overall, it's good. They're fun, but a few gripes. The quests in the game, the requests, they are very straightforward compared to especially Persona 3, Persona 4, where on certain days you just need to go get the rubber band, and the rubber band can be gotten by talking to this NPC at this time at this place. You know, who in their right mind is just going to be looking out for that and is going to intuitively figure that out? No. People nowadays are just going to Google it. So they did a good job. They made the request straightforward. You really shouldn't have to Google but one or two, if at all any. The game does a good job at giving the information you need to complete all of the requests. So I enjoyed it. I thought they were good. Quest system, it was good. It was an upgrade from the early Persona games, definitely. Even maybe Persona 5, there's no mementos you have to go in to progress the story, progress the social link. Some of the characters do have, you know, events that require you to go defeat an enemy, but it doesn't take up an entire day-night cycle. Only only the day, so you still have the night to go improve your royal virtues or hit a nighttime follower link if you like. So that was good. I think that was a good choice. Makes our lives as players a lot easier. And I think that's all I have to say about the gameplay. So I wanted to kind of move into the feel and style of the game. As I mentioned before, I mean, come on, the visuals just totally unique. You can't really reproduce the visuals in this game, especially to a fantasy game. Just amazing to look at. I love the streets. I love the colors they chose. I like all the towns and cities that they take you to in the game. Wonderful. Wonderful, 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 dude. Wonderful. And the character designs too are amazing. Every character is unique. They feel great, well designed, and they're fun to use in combat too. They're fun because you know that they have their own archetype and their own style of fighting that you get to take advantage of when you fight, and that was awesome. It really matched with the themes and styles of the game and themes and styles that the game is trying to stick by. So I really like that. The soundtrack though. Maybe, you know, obvious subjection here, but it kind of missed for me. I don't recall any song that I'm going to have a desire to go put on when I'm not actively playing the game, right? There's no Time to Make History. There's no Specialist. There's no any of the pretty much any of the Persona 5 soundtrack, right? There's no Layer Cake that I'm going to go listen to when I'm working or studying or just hanging out. It's just missing that X factor from the soundtrack, definitely. Maybe they're saving all of their firepower for the next Persona game, not sure, but it was a miss for me. It was a miss. A lot on soundtrack is not that many songs either. Need to go look at the number, but just from playing the game, I didn't feel like there was a great variety in the sound design and the songs. So another miss there. Yeah, overall, definitely not a deal breaker. Just something that you expect a different level of quality from Atlas that we really didn't get here. So, yeah, and with that being said, they didn't take any big risks in the music or the style. You know, it's unique, and, you know, the Grand Cathedral and all the cities you look at in the game are obviously going to be identifiable to this game, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to have your own idiosyncrasies that identify you. As, yes, I'm playing Metaphor. I'm not just playing some other Atlas game, some other JRPG, right? It has its cohesive theme. That being said, from the way the game was marketed, especially in the trailers, I thought we were going to get something out of this world, striking, unique, with the themes and how the characters interacted and how you traverse the game, but it's just another Atlas game. And now, let's say I missed the mark, but I think my expectations were a little high based on how the game was portrayed in the marketing and the trailers. So, yeah. And talking about let's move to the story and the followers. I think the main story was good. It was adequate, and the moral it's not contrite or as obvious as the previous games. And it was enjoyable to play through. I don't know how it's going to do in an anime format. But they'll make an anime for it. I'd be surprised if they did. Kind of the way anime's been going, I don't know how popular it would be, especially it doesn't have the Persona sticker on it, so I'm not sure how well it's doing in Japan, but we'd love to see what happens there. So I'm gonna keep my eyes up for that. And the villain, I love the villain. I'm not gonna say who it is, but it's pretty obvious from the first, opening sequence of the game that it gives you. It's yeah, he's amazing. He's an amazing villain, and it's never that they pull a twist on you. No, he's the villain. He doesn't turn out to be good or turn out to be doing it for another reason. No, he's a villain. So you get some more depth into his lifestyle and his history and why he chose, to be the antagonist. But yeah, just gonna venture into spoiler territory though, so maybe we back out a little bit. Yeah, it's a good villain. Talk about the other cast members. It's solid. I mean, the other team members you get and supporting characters, it's a solid cast. Like I said, they have great character designs. Visually, they're great. Voice actors did a phenomenal job. So kudos to them and the Atlas Sound team for getting, I think, the perfect person for every single role. And I hope we'll be seeing more of these voice actors in future Atlas games because yeah, they're just amazing. Especially Basilio and Stroll. Oh my gosh, stood out to me big time. Amazing performances by those voice actors. So yeah, you have plenty of time to actually max every single follower link, which is not usually the case. I feel like Persona games, they tend to rush you a little bit in maxing all of the links. So it's great to actually have time to do that. I enjoyed it. The links themselves, they're pretty bland. Like I said earlier, I was expecting for it to not just be the copy paste stories from every other Persona you get, just translated into this setting and time period. But it is what it is. They definitely went a little bit more heavy on the gameplay side and main story than they did on the social links. Left something to be desired there as well. But I know for most players that's not going to be a deal breaker also or what they're most focused on. So, but yeah, something that stood out. They're also only 8 ranks, so not 10. So maybe they felt they just wanted to be safe. Didn't want to try to rush too much content into only an 8 layered story with the character. So yeah. But it is a perfect number of team members. I think there's only 6 team members in the game, so that was refreshing compared to the massive teams you have in Persona 3, 5, especially when you're pulling up to a boss and you're 8 or 9 team members deep. You just have to sit there for 10 minutes so every single member of your team can get equipping, when in reality only 5 or 6 of them are going to be viable for that boss, if even, maybe 4. Like in Persona 4 Golden, I only used the starting 4 characters you get. I never feel like I needed to swap them out for any reason. So that was my team, was the Yosuke, Yukiko, and Chie team. It was amazing, and I just covered everything with the wild card on the protagonist. But anywho, good cast numbers. I'd like to see that moving forward. Less cast members, and we have some more depth with each one instead of trying to really just pad the cast with every single archetype of character, so someone will be pleased out there. Like my character, my favorite type of character, the tsundere or whatever, will be in there, right? They don't have to do that anymore. Let's just cut down the number and really explore every single one thoroughly. Yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Overall, if I have to give a number score, I'll probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. On the stronger side, you could lean, 7.75, maybe an 8, if the gameplay really hit home for you. I think, yeah, some of the areas of the game just are slight letdowns, and it's just another Persona game. So if you've played other Persona games, Shin Megami Tensei games, you're not going to be that impressed as I was with some of the aspects of the game. Other aspects are wonderful, and like I said, if it's your first entry into this series, yes, definitely worth it. Definitely worth playing. You might score it a little higher than I would because, there's going to be so much more novelty, so much more new things to explore in a video game. So, and especially if you're not used to the more narrative-based ones like this. But is it worth, big question, right? Is it worth that $70 price tag? For me, no. I don't think so. I think it's prudent to wait for it to go on sale and go ahead and pick it up $30, $40. And then feel free to enjoy it from there. $70 is a little steep for some of the areas that definitely lacked effort and polish. $70 is, not insulting, but it's a little steep. And I think I'll leave it at that. So thanks for hanging on with me and listening to me ramble about Metaphor. Great game. Definitely check it out if you got the time. So yeah, thanks and see you later.